Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Phoenix SEO Internet Marketing SEO workshop. We got a really special guest today. I'm really excited. I'll be introducing him here in a moment. But what we typically do is kind of go around the room, everybody introduce themselves. This is a networking type of event where it's just not about me, it's just not about Geoff, it's about you guys, helping you guys become successful. So there might be somebody here in the room that, during their introduction, oh yeah, I could use them in my outsourcing, or maybe they can help me. So, just introduce yourself, a little bit about you. If this is the first time you've ever been to one of our events, please let us know if this is your first time, and we'll start off right here.
My name is Ryan Renner. I've been to these events before. It's been a while though, probably about a year or so. Back when they were at Big Apple. I do online marketing, mainly pay-per-click advertising. I've done that on my own for the last 5 years. Before that, I was with a couple of different agencies out here. iCrossing is one of them, so that's where I got to learn the ropes and stuff. So that's what I'm doing right now. And this one piqued my interest, this particular topic, because I'm getting to that point where I want to outsource all the work and focus on my business and be able to work on the business rather than in it.
Okay. My name is Todd Bogert. I'm the Chief Information Officer for the Arizona Department of Veteran Services. And I'm really here mainly for my girlfriend's real estate website. That's what I keep coming back for.
Okay. And you've been here before?
Yes, many times.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Adam Winter. I work at GoDaddy in the web hosting support department. Never been to one of these.
Okay.
But I'm just curious. I've done a lot of websites for the last 15 years. And I have a lot
well, welcome. Glad to have you.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Steve. I'm at premiumsignals.com. We're going to be doing a Forex launch in July, hopefully by July. I just outsourced the launch coordinator, affiliate coordinator, all that, and this is my second meetup.
Okay, welcome back.
My name is Jonathan. I've done some local business SEO, and I'm starting to get into affiliate marketing a little bit, but outsourcing has consumed a lot of my interest and time lately, so I'm really looking forward to learning about that.
You mentioned you had we spoke before the meetup, and you spoke about a couple of your businesses that really piqued my interest. You want to share those? Or?
Yeah, well, year-round, I own a mobile car retailing company, and then in Christmas time, I own a Christmas light installation business. And so I basically built those from the ground up, all from local marketing, and it's world events.
Oh, congratulations.
My name is Mike Higbee. I'm a physician assistant, currently practicing dermatology, and I'm looking to start a side business. It's going to be internet-based, and I'm in the planning stages of it right now, trying to immerse myself in as much of this as possible. This is my second meeting. I was at the WordPress a few weeks ago, so I'm just trying to really learn the ropes and start it from the ground up, build a solid foundation.
Barbara?
My name is Barbara Atkinson. I've been here for about a year and learned how to do SEO. I'm a marketing and operations management consultant, and I am working on becoming an Infusionsoft certified consultant.
Very cool.
Gary Smith. I do SEO and websites, and it's not my first time here. I've been doing it for a while, but I used to outsource a lot, but I've dropped all my outsources and I'm back up to 70, 80 hours a week, and it's killing me.
Right, we picked a good meetup to come to.
That's why I came to this one. That's
okay.
Awesome. I gotta get back on that boat.
Yeah.
Right now I'm writing code. I mean, there's no time.
Yeah.
My name is Kathy Karazeski, and this is, I think, my fourth meeting. I worked for a patio furniture store, and the owner taught me a lot about SEO, and I was doing their SEO. I don't work for them anymore. I'm trying to do some things on my own, but I just started working for a friend who has a coffee shop, and he wants me to do some SEO things for him. The owner of the patio furniture store always told me, don't do this stuff yourself, outsource, 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 but he never told me where to find these people or where, So this is, I'm really interested to look at tonight.
Very cool. Welcome.
I'm Angie Knowles. I'm actually visiting Claudia from Florida. I come down here about maybe once a year. And for a while I was into all of this, and then the wife got away from mom still to take care of her, so I'm back at ground zero again.
Are you also, like Claudia, doing sewing stuff? And
yeah,
very cool.
Sort of
and I really compliment Claudia, because she brings guests from all over the country with her every time she comes.
Cooking is my passion. fast.
Yeah, so that's great. Claudia?
Okay, I'm Claudia. We have a sewing website. We teach contact sewing, and we launched a education site, so that's just been a pain in the butt. So it's amazing how many people want to teach and have classes on the internet and can't even put PowerPoint together. So, they're all like, oh yeah, we got all this content for you, we can do it, and it's a pain. So we're getting there.
Okay, very
When
cool.
you have to sew, make the project, and write the content, and do it all, it's fun.
All right, very cool. Thank you, Claudia. Let me introduce myself. I know there's quite a few people that have heard my spiel before, but there's some people that haven't, so please bear with me if you've been here before. My name is Roy Ryer. My moniker is Radar Roy. I'm a retired cop, retired from the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office way back in 1995. I was an undercover narcotics officer for a good portion of that time. The reason I retired, because I wanted to get into this internet marketing stuff. It was something new at that time. When I got into this, there was only 35,000 other websites out there. My internet connection with a company called Pinetop Communications was $1,900 a month for a 1,400 baud phone connection. But I knew this was going to be something big. And I started developing websites. That's how I started out. And I remember one of my first clients came to me and says, Roy, I want to sell rocks on the internet. Rocks? Oh, okay, how are we going to sell rocks on the internet? Well, long story short, what he did was he was making fiberglass rocks in his garage. These were lawn ornaments, waterfalls, and things like that. And I said, okay, Jim, we could do this for you. It'd be $400, and we'll have a website in 4 days. Well, something really weird happened. About 6 months later, because he had a website, and he was #1 for faux rock, a little company you might have heard about called Home Depot called him up on the phone and says, Jim, you got this website, you make faux rock. You make these little cool little fiberglass rock things you can put over water sprinklers and waterfalls. How would you like to sell that stuff in our stores? He said, sure. So he moved from his garage into this humongous warehouse up in Washington State and became a millionaire. Well, what I got was $400 and a pat on the back, all right? Well, during the same time, I had this other lady come to me and she says, Roy, I want to sell dirt on the internet. Okay, got somebody selling rocks, why not dirt, right? So what her story was is her family owned a kitty litter mine just outside of Prescott, Arizona. And they took that kitty litter residue and they mixed it up with some yogurt and you apply it on your face and it dried up oily skin and acne and things like that. We developed our website, $400. She didn't, Home Depot didn't call her, but some other company called her and bought the licensing for that product for $250,000. So that was at that point I said, hey, I'm a pretty good web designer, but let me design a website for myself and let me make money for myself instead of making other people rich. So being a retired cop, I thought about it for a while. What could I sell? And the idea came to me, well, I could sell radar detectors and give people tips on how to beat traffic tickets. We launched a website in 1996. And 4 days later, I sold 5 radar detectors. I had a slight little problem. I didn't have any radar detectors to ship, so I had to run to Home Depot, buy 10, shipped out the 5, and I started searching for where I could buy these radar detectors at wholesale. Well, over the course of the number of years, we built that one website up to 45 other websites, and we did it through outsourcing. My outsourcing was probably a little different. What I did was I hired high school kids up in Wickenburg to write my content. I had classes at the Wickenburg High School in computer science, and so I had this little army, if you would, of high school kids who were helping me out that was enabling me to build up all these websites. So in 2007, I have these 45 websites. If you typed in radar detector, I had the #1 site, the #2 site, the #3 site, the #4 site, all the way to #7. And my competitors hated my guts, all right, because they weren't making any business at all. And I hear from the manufacturers, the distributors, everybody like that, hey, everybody's complaining about you, you own the internet. I said, well, they got 3 choices. They could buy me, sue me, or join me. Well, I never expected anybody to take me up on any of those. But a few days later, I got a phone call from a company called NetShops, was one of my competitors, who said, Roy, we heard your challenge, we'll buy you. 30 days later, I got a check for over 7 figures. Well, I love this internet marketing stuff. I took a little time off, about a year, and I did the things I always wanted to do, go through my bucket list. Learning how to fly an airplane was #1 on my list, because when I was an undercover officer, I got to fly around. I was afraid of heights. And I did that, and I did a few other things, but after a while, you know, after watching Jerry Springer and the Oprah show and stuff like that in my downtime, I got bored. And I wanted to get back into this internet marketing stuff, but not selling stuff. Because Radar Busters was a very, very profitable business for me. But it was 6 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night, because everybody wanted to talk to Radar Roy. Or everybody wanted to email Radar Roy. And I couldn't find anybody to replace me. So I decided, well, let me do something a little different. What I'll do is I'll start teaching other people how to be equally successful. And we've done that somewhat well. One of my first students in one of my workshops was a 67-year-old lady who didn't even know how to cut and paste. And she had an idea of selling tire pressure monitors on her website. She put this website together. Her website really stunk. But she was in our workshop. We helped her through that 1 week, getting her site optimized and looking prettier and changing the domain name. And 6 months later, she had to quit her job as an administrative assistant. She was making $8 an hour then, because she had to answer all these phones and answer all those emails. A year later, she moved into a new home, bought her husband an airplane, and she bought a brand new motorhome. And today, she travels the country managing her tire pressure monitor website. So this is my passion. I love this stuff. Claudia's been through my workshops. Barbara's been through my workshops. I live and breathe internet marketing. And it's a lot of fun. To me, this is like a video game. If you would say Google, you know, I'm playing Google every day. And what's really cool about this video game, if I could get to number 1, number 2, or number 3, I make money. So these are some things that are going on here with me presently. Of course, we have, you know, our meetups here. Twice a year, we have our workshops. And this fall, we're going to have our workshops again. But we're not going to do them at our home this year because they're getting too big for my home. We're going to have them here. And this is, I think it's the second week of October. We'll be announcing it here in the next couple days for those of you who are interested. And what we're doing is something a little different. We're having our 5-day Master Series workshop. So it's going to be 5 days in a row, Monday through Friday. You start off with the essentials, and then the 3 days of the advanced. And when you get through that, you'll have a certificate as being a Master SEO. Then a few weeks after that, we're going to have our local search and also mobile marketing workshop. I don't know if any of you have heard of a gentleman by the name of Martin Maybrook. He lives in Connecticut. He's one of the most successful mobile marketers out there, and he's going to be coming out here, and he's going to be teaching one day about mobile marketing. And then some of you may have already met Jeanette Degner. She's a very big affiliate marketer up in Las Vegas. She's going to be coming down also in November here for a one-day affiliate marketing workshop. I don't have the exact date on that yet. We're working those details out, but those of you, I've heard a lot of folks from you that you want to learn a little bit more about affiliate marketing, or those of you that have an affiliate marketing to take it to the next level. So those are some of the things we have planned. There's a sheet in front of you. We do, any of our workshops that we do have, these are from our workshops that we have in March. We videotape all those, so if you want to get a step ahead, you can't wait till November or October. If you want to get a head start on that game, these are the videos. Those of you that might be in local search, we sell these on our website for $197. If you at our meetups, we always discount those, so these are like $97. And then we have our Master Series that has everything. But if you're interested, we have the sheets in front of you that explain that. And another sheet you have in front of you is an evaluation. And on this evaluation, I'd like to ask you one favor. I have these meetups once a month, and if you have a topic that you'd like to learn more about, please write it down. And I'll look at that, because I don't have a topic for next month. I don't have a date scheduled for next month, because I'm kind of at a loss. I want to hear from you guys what you guys are interested in learning about. All right, so if there's an idea, it could be Facebook marketing, it could be SEO, whatever it might be, jot it down and I'll look at it, and if there's something we could put together for next month, like a 1-hour presentation, we'll do that. Now I'm really, really happy to have our guest speaker come up here in a few moments. Geoff Ronning is probably one of the best outsourcers and a very, very successful internet marketer. He just celebrated his 15th year anniversary, and I was listening to one of your podcasts, and you were explaining that, and like 15 years ago, you got married in your backyard, You got sandwiches at Costco for this little party. And here on your 15th year anniversary, you chartered a boat in the Caribbean, and it was for 2 or 3 weeks?
7 nights.
All right, 7.5. So, you know, you can see the big difference. And all this was made possible through the power of internet marketing, a very successful internet marketing. The reason he's done such a great job is through outsourcing. All right, so those of you that want to learn how to take your business to the next level, I can't think of a better gentleman than this to do that, Geoff Ron. Let me give you
Good. All right, welcome. It was cool to hear Roy kind of get a feel where you guys were. It was cool to kind of hear the things you were interested in learning. And I think you guys want to, have a good mix of things that you want to learn about outsourcing. And so I'm excited to be here tonight, but I'm kind of sad also because the stuff that you guys wanted to learn isn't going to be taught tonight. It's actually going to be taught in the paid class, which is next week. So just kidding, guys. Just kidding. We're going to get to all your good stuff. So anyhow, my name is Geoff Ronning. I moved to Arizona about 9 years ago from Seattle, from Washington. Lived a number of different places around the country. Welcome.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. We just sent
I gotta sit there in front now.
You can ask those people. We just sent a big donation. We're just, yeah, we saved this seat right down here for you. This one, yeah.
There's somebody sitting
Okay,
there.
you can sit there. So, anyhow, listen, here's a nice little picture of me at Disneyland with my wife, Riddick. And we used to go down there quite frequently. And I remember one trip that I was down there. And looking forward to a terrific week of fun, relaxation. Claudia, thank you for the email. And during that week, I had multiple outsourcers drop out. So here I was looking for a nice vacation with my family, spending time with my son, my wife, and here I am having to do that thing, but at the same time also take care of my business. I've been trying to outsource for umpteen years. Had a lot of failure. I've studied all kinds of outsourcing stuff. None of it's worked for me. I'm not saying it won't work for you. I'm just saying for me, for what I do, it didn't work. But finally, I started to figure some things out. And that takes us to a vacation that was basically a piece of garbage, where I was working, split my time between my son, my wife. On that same trip, I actually sliced my finger open, opening up my kid's toy. I'm not very good with tools either, you know. So it was just an all-around terrible trip. But this was a trip I just got back from on Monday. And this was down in the Caribbean. We did snorkeling, had a private chef, had a 5-person crew, went to all kinds of beaches, went to all kinds of different places. There's a bar in that picture. It's kind of hard to see in this, but the bar is a very bizarre bar. It's a very cool bar. It's a very eclectic bar, but you'll never guess what they've got in there. Alcohol? You are right. But they also have something else. They also have a monkey. They don't just have one monkey, they have 2 monkeys. Now this monkey actually jumped on my son before he saw it. Freaked him out a little bit. But it's not just that they have 2 monkeys, but one of the monkey is actually a smoker. What the heck's up with that? So that's where I just got back from on Monday, and there's 2 points. One, Roy already made for me. I'm a lot more successful than I was in the past because I have figured out outsourcing, and Number two, even if you don't smoke, make sure you take some cigarettes with you into bars, because they might have smoking monkeys, so you want to make sure you see that. When I talk to people about outsourcing, most people are frustrated with it. Most people have tried it. Most people have spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort into making it work. Most are disappointed what happens with the outsourcing. Most find the investment a total waste of time, and they're continually finding new people. This is the experience for most people. Has anybody in here that has outsourced experienced any of those things? Cool. Not cool, but you know what I mean. So yeah, you look like this, only your hair might not be black, right, Claudia? Yes. But yeah, most people are very, very upset. So most people find it, a pain. They find it an expense to invest in individuals to outsource to, and they almost find it inconsequential because they don't realize the importance. They realize the general theory of, oh, well, I need to get someone else to do the work for me, or I need to, in order to leverage myself, but they don't really realize the full importance of it. But for smart businesses, and obviously you guys are all smart, or you wouldn't be here tonight, you'd be somewhere else. Smart businesses realize it's a profit generator. And what I did is I went to a place called Mandasoft, and I pulled up some numbers. So the top 25 tech companies by employee. Number one surprised me. It was a company called SanDisk. They make like media, and their number is $374,788 per employee. So every time they hire somebody, that's what they're making. Google, $321,000, not bad. So smart businesses know that outsourcers are a profit generator. They also know that it provides freedom. It's mandatory for a properly ran business so that you can get away, so you can do other things, so you can invest your time, your energy, your effort into building your business. And it's the only way, really, to build that business, because you've got to leverage yourself. So I'm going to talk to you right now about what I've learned about outsourcing. For those of you that aren't aware of me, I've been around quite a while. I started out as a stage hypnotist as a kid. I wasn't into basketball or like baseball. I was into the power of the mind. So I was reading books like Think and Grow Rich and things like that. Got in trouble in 6th grade for hypnotizing some kids at camp. Got in trouble that same year for hypnotizing some boys in the bathroom, which sounds really bizarre, when you say that as an adult, but it wasn't that weird. Ended up having a really successful stage hypnosis career. So successful that a lot of people came to me to learn how to be successful themselves. So that created this whole spin-off business, coaching, product, training, all that sort of stuff. I'm also, I'm known for Stage Hypnosis Center. Got the best-selling book on Amazon on that, usually. Sometimes it's the second best. And I'm known for Stealth Seminar, Online Meeting Now, and some other products that are pretty popular with the Internet Marketing group. Appeared on a number of different TV, radio shows, publications, things like that. And as you've already seen, this is my family, Wendy, Riddick, and me. So let's talk about how you can find quality workers. This is probably going to be something that you want to take notes at, because I don't have any notes to give you. Although I'm very happy if you want to go get my notes, which are on my website, which cost you way less than they should. So feel free to take notes, and thank you. So, finding quality workers. For those of you that have tried in the past to outsource, you probably have experienced the same thing I have, which it seems like good people hide if they're alive. They may not even be alive. I've used outsourcing sites. I've used Craigslist. I've used newspaper classifieds. I've used outsource companies. I've used online sites for like local areas. And I've hired from all those in the past. And when I did, I got a mess of people. But it wasn't necessarily that the people were bad there. It was that I didn't know what I was doing. It doesn't always come down to that. It's like, I can't believe how stupid I was 2 weeks ago. It's just like, but now that I know what I'm doing, I'm able to go in, I'm able to hire people, and with a very, very, very high degree of accuracy, predict how successful they will be. And that's what I'm going to teach you to do tonight. Now, I noticed that you guys had an array of different things, so I'll take all kinds of questions. And in fact, if you even want to do anything like look for some of these people tonight, I'm happy to do that with you as well. So, there's always going to be exceptions to the rules, and we can talk about specifics when we get into the question. But here is where I find the absolute best people now that I know how to hire them. I find the best people at Elance, Odesk, and Freelancer. Very popular sites. So it's not the sites, it's the process. It's knowing how you hire people. Now the reason I go to all three of those sites is because each one has a stronger emphasis in particular areas. So for instance, let's say that I want somebody that's long-term, and when I say quality important, what that means is it means the quality is important and it's hard for me to determine the quality, okay? So if I'm looking for somebody that's long-term, where the quality needs to be important and it's hard for me to determine that, and it's going to be support, customer service, writers, or programming, then I'm going to go to Elance. If it's going to be a shorter term person, and when I say quality negligible, what I mean is that I can identify the quality of that. See, programming, I could try it, I could try and see if it works, but I can look at a graphic and go right away, oh, that's crap, right? So, shorter term, I would go to Odesk, and that would be for graphics and transcription. It doesn't mean that these aren't important, it just means it's easy for me to identify, hey, this transcription isn't acceptable, or this graphic isn't acceptable, okay? And then for software and for programming, Freelancer is the best that I have found. However, most of the people are from overseas, so you got to make sure that the communication is there before you start hiring them. So, if it's a quick, simple, easy thing that I can identify if the quality is good or not, I'll just go to Odesk to get it done. If it's a longer term thing, I go to Elance, and if it's programming, I'll typically go to Freelancer. Okay, so those are the sites I use. But what I use isn't so important as the process that I go through to find these people. And the reason I would go through this, in case you don't know, Odesk is mostly outside of the United States. Those are individuals that would be from outside the country, and the prices will be a lot less, typically. So Freelancer, they kind of do their own thing, and Elance will be a lot more expensive than Odesk. But if it's a longer term investment, then obviously that's where I want to be. So let's go through the Grow Profit Fast process. With this process, it lets you attract the right people. It lets you repel the wrong people. See, I was doing it in reverse. See, I used to do it the old-fashioned way, is I would repel the right people and I would attract all the wrong people. It didn't really work out that great. It lets me attract motivated individuals. It lets me attract growth-oriented individuals. And the advertisement itself is always vague with some of the specific details. So, we're always going to utilize the private message. Is there anybody in here who hasn't used like an Elance Odesk, or is there anybody in here that hasn't used one of those? Okay, a couple people. So this is a site, think of it like a job board. you can post projects up there. I could say like I want a transcription, or I need something built, or I need a graphic for this, and then different people will bid on it. And those people will bid on it, give me a price, and then I'm also able to see their history. So I'm able to see how much work they've done in the past, who they've worked with, what those people that they've worked with have left them a grade, like on eBay. You know how eBay has a history. I'm able to look at where they're from, all those good things. So using these sites allows you to post your job. People will apply, or you can invite specific people, and then you evaluate those people based on different factors. One of the things you can utilize on those sites is something called a private message board. That means they'll enter into a private conversation with you, and you can go back and forth with them. What I like to use that private message board for is I'm looking for their promptness. I'm evaluating their language skills, their professionalism, and their attention to detail. And the reason these things are real important is because everything revolves around getting the right people. Because once you get the right people, your life is so much better. And until you do, then you've got this constant sort of hamster wheel where you're continually dealing with people who frustrate you and who drive you crazy. And to put it in perspective, for those of you that have not done a lot of outsourcing in the past, when I was not very good at it, I would have, and even today, because nothing's 100%, but you'll get people who will apply to the job, they'll lie their ass off. The first day they're supposed to show up, they'll be late, or they won't show up, or their computer was stolen, or their mom died, or, I mean, we're not... When you're talking about a worldwide group of people you're hiring from, you know, the vast majority of them, and I don't mean this in any judgmental way, but the vast majority of them are total idiots who can't get a regular job. So maybe it does come across as judgmental. So your job is to not hire those people, because those people will then obviously impact your life. Yes?
And this maybe you're going to answer later, but
I doubt it.
Does that have to do with Americans, or does it have to do with...
Does it have to do with Americans, or does it have to do with overseas? It has to do with everyone. Americans could be worse than overseas. Americans could be worse.
Well,
yes.
I mean, I'm always afraid of hiring somebody from India, number one, because of the time difference. And number two, I mean, it just seems so far away.
Well, what I like to do when I hire somebody, like on the very first day, what I like to do is fly to where they live. I'm just kidding. No, you're right. That is far away. But you know what? You will feel better. You will feel better about hiring them, because the distance is irrelevant. If you get the right person, the distance is irrelevant. So let's talk about this. We know we're going to use Odesk, Freelancer, or Elance. We know we're going to use the private message board, and what we're going to do is attract the right people, repel the wrong. So here is the advertisement I use for all my jobs right now. I changed it slightly based on my needs. We are a new company that is growing massively. We are looking for a person that has experience with, name a skill, whatever it is. Anybody name anything we can play with.
Content writing.
Content writing. We're looking for somebody that has experience with content. The prime person is prompt, professional, and has a great attitude. This is a long-term position. The right person who excels at this job will receive regular wage increases and bonuses. We are interested in a long-term person for this position. No flakes allowed. Job duties. You are going to write content. How many pieces?
Weekly.
How many words?
Oh.
500.
Huh?
500, yeah.
Okay, you're going to write one article, 500 words. This has to be original content. It has to pass any copyscape. It has to be written for, you know, if it's going to be written for SEO, then I'm going to put that in there. If it's going to be written for an actual honest-to-God person to read, I'm going to put that in there. You know, additional tasks. You will also upload this to my WordPress blog. It has to be loaded and done on a weekly basis. Yes?
Can I see the last slide one more time, please? Thank you.
So, you want me to read it or just be quiet? Okay. You know, it's so nice to be here tonight at this meetup. Thank you, Roy.
Hypnotize someone.
So, no flakes allowed, guarantee you. That alone will, like, shut down the vast majority of those people that are going to waste your time.
Because they're going to say, yeah, I'm a flake.
I'm a flake. They're going to identify themselves.
My job applications always say, hey, I want to hold your hand for 4 hours to get you to do a 1-hour job.
Yes, yes. So I would put exactly what I want there. Requirements: flawless English, responsive, internet savvy, knowledgeable about content writing, knowledge about putting content into WordPress, reliable high-speed internet, professional demeanor, committed to growth, enthusiastic, self-motivated. Okay, let you guys take pictures of that and back away.
I can't type that.
All right, I see no more cameras up. When applying for the position, include the following. I would put 4 samples of some of your writing that would be appropriate for this job. Sample to some of the WordPress blogs that you've uploaded content to. Then I'd drop off number 3. I'd just say that. In applying, in the first sentence, put the word boxing or whatever your keyword's going to be. Justin Bieber or whatever. Thanks for reading. So, it's a very different job application project that I used to use. It almost feels, I think one of the reasons it works so well is because it feels almost like a real job, right? Like it's very much a much more corporate sort of feel. And when you sign up for these sites, by the way, you know, don't ever use your own names. So don't use like Claudia on it's not that you're going to be deceiving people, but later on when you become a huge success, you don't want your competition to like type in Claudia at Sewing University and see all your jobs on Elance. Okay? So it's perfectly appropriate. You're not doing anything against any of their terms of use. Just come up with, you know, some sort of alias. Obviously, you'll use your real name in applying the details in the Elance or the Odesk or whatever, but you can have any company name you want, any organization name. So, you know, choose something that is appropriate, and don't have it tie back to yourself. So, what's going to happen is people are going to come. They're going to read this, and all my accounts with these organizations do have something real, you know, just kind of innocuous, like just something that sounds like a big organization, and indeed, I guess we are kind of bigger now. So you're going to have people apply to this job. When people apply to the job, hopefully you've eliminated most of the flakes, but some of them are going to sneak through because they're going to think they're smarter than you. So what you're going to do is you're going to get various people. You're going to get some people that literally are not even going to read your ad. They're just going to spam you. And what I mean by that is they've got like a cut and paste or some sort of automated system, so it's going to be like, I've read your job requirement and I am the perfect person for you to hire for this. When I do work on the internet, I use a HQP15, and you're like, what the hell is... Delete all those people, right? The other people you're going to get, if it's not a spam, then what we're going to do is we're going to evaluate them, and we're going to evaluate them with something I call Poppies. So Poppies stand for what does Poppies stand for? I came up with it and it was really cool. Predictable outsourcers, outsourcers, predictable indicators. Powerful outsourcers, predictors, indicators, okay? Because these 10 Poppies are going to tell me exactly how well this person's going to do, okay? So here is what I'm going to do with everybody that applies. Something I call ATD, attention to detail. First off, if that keyword isn't in that first sentence, then there's different ways. You can either just delete the app, you can hide it, you can, whatever you want to do, but the key is you're going to eliminate them. You're going to eliminate them. So if they don't have the keyword, whatever it is, and make it something that's, make it like whatever your interest is, and make it something, so it stands out, pops out to you. Because a lot of these people, when they're applying for jobs, they're applying for probably like 100 in an hour. They're not reading them, and you'll know that right away. Even if they get through that first thing where you're reading it, it looks like it might not be spam. If they don't put their keywords, they don't put cat in that first sentence, they're gone. The second thing is, I'm looking only for people that are possible full-time. Now you say, but Geoff, I don't have a need for full-time right now. If they can't work for you full-time, they're going to eventually either quit working online or they're going to work for someone else full-time. And if you get someone good, which you will now that you're here at Radar Roy's event, you'll make money on them. Remember how much, what was it, SanDisk was making? Like $300,000 a year. So when you say, hey, I don't have enough work for someone full-time, you'll be able to find the work that you need them to do, because what they do will make you money. So the more they work for you, the more money you will make. So anybody that's part-time, I eliminate them. It's just not worth it. I only want to use independent people. See, there's predominantly two different groups that are doing outsourcing. One is independent, it's like me, you. And then there's another group, which are agencies. These agencies have tons of people. I only want to deal with independents. I remember some years back, when Tim Ferriss's book first came out, The 4-Hour Work Week. And I remember I was reading it, and I'm like, oh, here's the company he uses. And I can't remember what the company was. That's probably it. And but I wasn't going to say it, but that's okay. Probably didn't pick it up. So what do? I immediately hire them, and what do? They immediately flake out. Just like other agencies that I've hired in the past. So now I just avoid them. I don't want anything to do with them. I want to hire individuals. I want to hire independent individuals. I want to make sure that they have an English rating of at least 4. The English rating is something they give themselves. So if someone gives themselves a 3, it's bad. And I want to make sure, because remember, on these sites, you can see their past history. If they don't have at least either 30 projects or 500 plus hours, then I delete them. They don't make it on to the next phase of this hiring. So you guys all got that? Yes.
Should I tell them we're recording this?
So the 30 projects, is that your opinion?
No, that's not an opinion. On the project on the hours, what the site will do is it will count up the number of, like every time I work, it will record that I worked. There's different ways to work. I could work like a project, like maybe if I'm just going to create or do certain tasks, it might be a project, or I could work hourly. So I could be working one project, but the hours could be 10,000 hours. And so that's something that is on there, just like on eBay. On eBay, it shows you the number of transactions someone's done. So 30 projects or 500 hours. The sixth thing is they have to have at least a 4.5 rating. This rating comes from their clients, their customers that they have done business with on that system. If it's less than 4.5, forget about it.
Out of 5?
Out of 5, yeah. Yeah. They have to have fewer than 20% of canceled jobs. So let's say that someone has been hired 100 times, but there's been 25 canceled jobs, I don't care why, it's a bad indication. They're probably going to be trouble for you. So if it exceeds 20% of their jobs canceled, we delete them, we eliminate them. So a canceled job represents any project. Some typical reasons that a job could be canceled: maybe the client changes his mind, maybe the need changes, but more likely it's because that outsourcer couldn't deliver, or that outsourcer got flaky, or because that outsourcer disappeared. And so once that happens on these sites, you can't, as the person that hired them, go in and say this happened. You can't do that. All you can do is cancel the job. I also don't want anybody that has more than 35% of their jobs without reviews. Because if they're not getting reviews, same deal. It's probably an indication, a huge one, red flag, that there's a big problem. And the reason that person didn't get left a review is because they didn't want to be on the end of retaliatory reviews. See, if I hire somebody, they do a crummy job for me, but I just say, screw it, I'm going to pay you anyhow because, you know, whatever reason, you worked hard, but you didn't know what the hell you were doing. I'm throwing away your work, but here's $100 or whatever. I'm not going to leave that person a review, because all that person will do is come back and like attack me. So 35% or more without reviews, I don't hire them. Yes?
Are these two things, are those something that are automatically calculated? Because I've never seen that before.
They are calculated.
Oh, okay.
And we could even show it if we want by going to Elance.
You have to dig a little deeper to find that? Because I usually see like the rating and...
Do you have an Elance account?
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you log in and then we'll pop it in here if it's okay with Roy. Later, we'll do it later. I like, but this is not mandatory, a repeat clientele of 25%. And if they make it through that gauntlet, what I'll then do is take their username, or their real name if I have it, because now I've got them in a private message board, and I will type it into Google, or I'll type it into some of the other outsourcing sites, or I'll type it into Facebook or Tumblr. So if I see anything weird, and by weird what I mean is someone acting like a jackass basically on some social media sites or anything like that, or if I find, let's say I'm hiring somebody and their username is VVV1, and then, but I find VVVV1. Well, then it's very likely it's the same person, and it's very easy to look at their picture or the image or what they're using for a picture or where they're located and say, okay, this is the same guy. Now this guy has kind of a halfway decent profile. This guy, he's got a trashy profile. So he obviously worked predominantly with this one until he could no longer work, then restarted a new one. So that's why you want to be aware of all this. So these are the predictors of the outsourcers, and all of these, there's 10 of them, will predict exactly how well your person will do. The more these they pass, they go through, the better job they'll do. This, I always like to see, it's not mandatory, because what I'm looking for are people. Now obviously if it was a $25 job for graphics, I'm not going to go through this. This is really more for higher end positions or people that are going to be with me forever. So like your writer, I wouldn't hire, if I was just going to get 2 articles, I wouldn't worry about doing this. But if this is someone I want long term to work for me for 6 months, a year, or 2 years, then I'm going to do this. Because otherwise you'll end up hiring writer after writer after writer after writer. So after they make it through that, then your outsourcer is revealed. You're going to open up the private message board, and you're going to communicate with them and just say, hey, thanks much, it looked interesting. And when I interview, and by the way, I call this the interview, although most people wouldn't think it's the interview, because it's the private message board. People are used to like an interview being an event, But I find you can actually learn a lot more about someone if you start the interview during the private message board. So I call it the successful interview, but the outsourced person doesn't even really know that the interview is going on. So we do it via the private message board. I ask open-ended questions, you know, tell me about yourself, you know, what attracts you to this job, what have you done in the past? And one of the reasons I ask open-ended questions is because I want to uncover other skills. Maybe that person will be like, oh, well, not only did I write for this site and this site and this site, but I also learned whatever, CSS or HTML or something like that. So I'll be able to say, oh, okay, so you can also do some web work, you know. As a general rule, I will never, ever, ever post a job looking for someone that has multiple skills. But if I can uncover something that's already in someone's past, then I'll do it. So what I mean by that is I will never post a job where I want someone to be a writer, I want someone to also be support, I want someone to also do SEO, and I want someone to control my social media. One thing. That's all we're ever going to do. And when you start using the Poppies, what you'll realize is that even just looking for one person that fulfills all those criteria for the Poppies can be kind of difficult sometimes. So during the interview, I'm also going to uncover their motivations. Hey, so what, you know, what's going on? Why do you want this job? So I'm trying to figure out, you know, like, are you just going to graduate from school in a month and be gone? Or are you supporting the household? You know? Because obviously I only look for people that are long term. I learned this a long, long time ago. In my stage hypnosis business, what I realized is that I could either book a show or I could build a business. So a lot of people run around and they book a show. Right? And they go and they do this show and they do this show and they do this show, and I realized that no, that's a total waste of time. I don't want to book it. What I want to do is build a business. So when I was building a business, I'm looking for people that can at least give me X amount of dollars or X amount of shows over a career. So I'm not looking for, you know, a show at, say, like a corporate event. I'm looking for a corporation that I know I can work with for the next 14 years or whatever it is. Same way with your outsourcing. So always looking for the long-term positions and making sure you're getting people that you understand their long-term goals. Hey, I'm looking to move to create a better life for my family. Things are really bad here, and we need to, you know, I really want to move to a different area where it's safer for my children. So you're going to post that job. You're going to customize it a little bit based on your needs. You're only going to ask, preferably, for one skill. That's all I ever ask for. Sometimes people go, I'll also try for this. But it's really hard to find people with two skills that are going to all fly through the Poppy. So you post that, people apply. You immediately disregard anybody who doesn't give you a personalized reply. If it's a spam reply or you know, a templated thing, you get rid of it. Then you start going through the Poppies. Anybody that doesn't fit, you get rid of it. Those that do, you take them to the private message board, and then you'll eventually come down to one or two of them that will make it. And those one or two of them you'll hire. It was really funny. A couple weeks ago, this guy told me, he said, okay, well, I got these two people I want to hire. And so I said, great. I said, you know, just hire them both, and then, you know, just tell them, hey, here's what's going on, and one of you is going to, I don't mean this in a mean way, but I mean, and I'm never mean, and I never am disrespectful to the people, but I mean, essentially, just to make it brief, I said, just hire them both and tell them you only got enough work for one of them, and you're going to use who's ever best. Well, one of them kind of disappeared for a day. And I said, don't even use him. Like, don't even consider it. And if you're going to consider it, he better damn well give you a verifiable reason why he disappeared for a day. Now, this was not when he was hired. This was before he was hired. But even that sort of thing, it's an indication of what's going to happen. So the guy gets back to me, and he said, okay, well, he said his internet went down. Forget him. And he goes, well, you know, and I said, forget him or make it verifiable by you that indeed it did. So I went back to the guy and he said, okay, send me a link to somewhere in the media where your internet went down in your geographic area. Well, lo and behold, the guy did. And his internet was actually down for that day. So that sort of thing, you know, you want to know right at the beginning if these people are going to be trouble. Now, since it was verified, obviously, we go ahead and hire him, and he's done great. But if he couldn't have sent that, forget about him. So, at that point in time, you're going to make the job offer. And so I'm going to make the job offer. A lot of people talk to people when they outsource. I know I don't even talk to anybody anymore because remember, the interview is happening on the private message board. They don't even know the interview is going on yet. They assume at some point in time we're going to get on Skype, but that doesn't happen with me. It would if I were hiring a phone person, but so what I'm going to provide for long term is above average wage for their cost of living. So people say, okay, well, you know, you can go and you can hire somebody really super cheap and get all this stuff done, which is true, but I usually think of it just the opposite. What I want to do is I want to hire somebody that lives in a really inexpensive cost of living place, and then I want to pay them buku bucks so they're making more than the guy that's like the banking executive. Because their banking executive pay is so much lower than what you and I are accustomed to that you can easily do that. You can afford that. So I'm not trying to stretch them and I'll give you some dollar figures in a little bit, but I'm not trying to in any way, you know, take advantage of them. In fact, it's just the opposite. I've got a podcast on my site somewhere that it's called Outsource to Make Others Rich, Not Yourself. Now, that doesn't mean I'm this great, wonderful. It just means, you know what? You know, when you make other people wealthy, you're going to make yourself wealthy because they're working for you. So I'm going to offer above average pay. I'll talk to you about pay in a minute. I'm going to tell them that they're going to get paid holidays. They're going to be our New Year's, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. You know, it doesn't matter where they are around the world. I'm going to give them 5 sick days after the probation period. They're going to get unlimited non-pay days off arranged with the manager after the probation period. So I really don't care how much time they take off as long as it's arranged. And then I'm also going to give them financial bonuses after the probation period. So when I make the job offer, I'm going to be very clear with them. It's going to be a 2-week trial, but I would never hire anybody unless I was certain they were going to make it through that. Then it's going to be a 4-week trial. Then it's going to be a 3-month probation period. Then it's going to be 6 months, and then they're going to get the full benefits. Now, typically, at every one of these periods, I'm going to give them a little bit of a raise. So let's talk some money. Money. I have found for myself, and you know, and everybody's a little different. I have found for myself that it's easier for me to find people who will work harder and do more and be more professional outside of North America than it is to find inside North America. I could hire, in my experience, what I know is I could hire somebody, or maybe I should say I have hired people for like 25 bucks an hour in the US who have done a sliver of work compared to a person that I've paid $3 an hour to. I personally, if I don't have a personal reference from someone in North America now for somebody, I don't even consider them. I mean, it's sad but that's just my experience. So most of the people are going to be from outside North America. It doesn't mean, you know, I've hired tons of people in North America, but they're all flakes, or they all disappear, or they're all also collecting this, and they can't go above a certain dollar amount, or they quit getting this, you know, whatever. It's nuts. So Cost of living, how do we determine that? Here's how I determine it. If I'm dealing with somebody from, name a country, name a city, you can go into cost of living and type that into Google, and it'll pull up and it'll show you. It'll show you cost of living, and it'll show you average income. So you go to some of these countries, like I was just in the Caribbean, okay? So like, just for my, I wasn't hiring anybody, but just for my own information, I looked there to see what the average income was. Per year, it's $9,000. So let's use that number. So if I was really applying some, first, average income is $9,000. I don't want to hire anybody under that. I want to pay them more. So I'm going to say like, okay, let's make it like 10, 12. Okay, well that's $1,000 a month. That's $250 a week. Now, my math is too sucky to do what that is by 40 hours, but it's not much, okay? But what I know is, if someone passes the Poppies, if they happen to live in the Caribbean, and I'm paying them $12,000 a year, oh, they're like the king on the hill. They're like, they got the best drugs, all the like, people are trying to come to the, you know, it's like they're the rock star, right? So that's what I'm looking to do. That's what I'm looking to do. So if it was somewhere else, if it was somewhere in Russia, I'm going to do that. If it was in China, I'm going to do that. I'm going to look at what that average income is, then I'm going to go above it. Then I'm going to make that the dollar figure. So let's say the 9,000. You've got a computer there. What's 250 divided by, 250 divided 625. So during the 2-week trial, what I would say is I'm going to pay you $3 an hour. We make it through this, I'm going to give you $1 an hour raise. Make it through this, I'm going to give you $1 an hour raise, or a 50-cent raise. We make it through this, then I'm going to take it up to like $5 an hour. We make it through this, I'm going to give you $6 an hour. So I put these trials in basically so they feel good about everything. They feel good about working for me, and they've also got almost some immediate gratification there, right? Because I'm setting the expectation they can make more money, and then I'm actually delivering on it. I'm giving them more money. Because obviously, if I'm not giving them more money, then I'm firing them, right? And you're probably not going to fire them if you've gone through the 10 Poppies. So what I would encourage you guys to do is, if you, sometimes people are on the internet and they're like, oh, you know, you can get people from this country or that country and you can hire them for $1 an hour and they'll do anything, you know, they'll kill for you. You can turn them into a hitman and they'll run drugs from Mexico. But I would encourage you to think just the opposite. You know, don't think about that. Think about, how can I help them improve their lives? Because that's really what you're doing. Because think about it. If you took that person from the Caribbean and in 6 months he's making as much as an executive, he's moving, his family has a better life, he loves you, he is like the king of the community, and I mean, it's good stuff. So I'm never looking to pay low, I'm always looking to pay high. And let's face it, if you can't afford to pay somebody $1,000 a month, then obviously you need to look at your business, because you know, there's almost nobody you can hire for $1,000 a month and make a boatload of money yourself. So we get that person rolling. Inside Odesk and inside Elance, they have a way to track the hours. You'll always work with those ways. So what happens is, when someone's going to work for you, they're going to like log into their Elance, they're going to go through something that says work view, and so Elance is going to track how many hours they worked. It's going to start, you know, the time's going to start when they log in, and then Elance is going to snap pictures of their computer intermittently. I know it seems terrible, but they snap pictures. And so if you ever get the desire, and usually my desire is maybe like 2 to 3 times when I first hire somebody, The first couple of weeks, I'll log in and I'll look over some of those pictures and make sure that the guy's not sitting there on Facebook dicking around. So you'll be able to see, no, this person was actually in Word, or this person was in my WordPress, or this person was, and all that stuff. So at the end of the week, Elance and Odesk will send you the hours they worked, and then they will automatically pay the person for you. So that's how that's the site you use, that's how you put your advertisement, that's how you determine the criteria, and that's how you hire somebody. Let's talk real quickly about when to fire somebody. Fast and frequent. Now, if they've made it through the Poppies, you're probably not going to have to. But fast and frequent, the 2 F's, you fire them fast and frequent. Here's what I would do. If they don't use WorkView, remember I just told you that WorkView is a program that Elance has. Work Diary is a program that Odesk has. If they don't use that, and if it's for longer than a few hours a month, you get rid of them. The last person that burnt me on this was an American. And I mean, this guy was such a piece of crap. I mean, he had the full story, like he was a veteran, he was this, he was, it's like you want to do all this stuff good for him, and we were paying him a lot of money, Well, by a lot of money, I mean somewhere around 18 to 20 bucks an hour, and anyhow, as far as I know, the guy never did anything for like 3 weeks, and finally, because he never turned that on. He kept giving me one line of bullshit after another. Oh, well, my computer can't use the WorkView. Oh, Elance says WorkView's down. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, you just end up getting really abused. So if they don't use that, they're gone. If the internet goes down for them and you cannot verify that it's a geographical issue, dump them. When I say dump them, it sounds harsh. I don't mean it in a harsh way. I just mean don't play games. Because what will happen, like that person in the Caribbean, if they're making that kind of money, they're not going to be satisfied with the regular internet. They, on their own, are going to go get corporate internet. They're going to have the highest speed internet next to, like, Bill Gates' house and like Bank of America. So they're going to be professional. And if they don't show up, you got to let them go. There's a big warning I've got for people that hire people, and that is don't get sucked into wanting something to work so bad that you lose your common sense. Remember, like that, I just told you about that guy who was the veteran, and it's like I wanted him to work out so bad, and yet all the signs were there. And a lot of times, all of us, like, we think the best of people, and we don't think that, oh, well, someone might just be an outright con man, but they're out there. So don't let them exploit you for too long. As soon as they wave their hand and wave their little flag and let you know, get rid of them. And if you follow this stuff, then congratulations. I'm not sure that you'll be making $374,000 per person, like SanDisk, but I can guarantee you, you will be extremely successful. And that's really what outsourcing is all about. It's about getting people who will work on your behalf, who are professional, who allow you to leverage your talents, your skills, who will build your business with you. I say with you. I don't, not for you. It's not like, oh, these people are going to do all the work. I'm just going to. So, here's a website you can go to if you want to find me. So let's answer some questions, and if you want me to jump on, I can show you that thing. Yeah.
I've found that timing is often involved with something like this. If you post a job for 7 days or so, you're only going to see, the only eyeballs you're going to have on that ad are people that aren't looking at that time. So if you go through that process and you don't find anybody that meets all those, you try another month later or so?
What I'll do is I'll can that. Oh, by the way, whenever you put an ad on one of these sites, you can always like feature it or juice it up. Because when you put the ad, it's free, but if you juice it up with some of their extra bells and whistles, they'll charge you like 25 bucks. So I never do that. But what I would do is if I didn't find anybody that fit that, then I'll just stop that ad. I'll reword the headline slightly. So maybe instead of it being like content writer, it might be like best writer on Elance wanted for long-term position. So I just restart it right away. And then the other thing you can do too is I would also go in and I would invite all the people that look good. Yes?
I've had people who quite a few seem to want, great, we'll work in Odesk, blah, blah, and then I'll get a message from them that they'd like to work outside of Odesk. They'd like to work outside of, stay away from that?
Yeah, no.
And why? Because they want to work. They just want to work for you or anything like that.
Yeah, so just tell them it's not even an optional.
Well, Odesk takes a cut, so that's...
You know what, I mean, yeah, if you don't have that, and you can go all different ways, like you can go like rescue time or all these other, I've used all those other ones, by other ones, what I mean for those people that aren't familiar with that is that you can get the software, people install on their computer. It's just a big mess. Just use either WorkView or Work Diary. And if they don't want to do that, that's fine.
Also, I had Odesk actually refund me one time when it didn't work out. So,
really?
So they seem like they work to keep it cleaned up.
Yeah. Good. Yes.
So I guess, to get your feet wet for outsourcing, like what's like, right off the top of your head, like what can someone outsource or what should we outsource?
Well, you said in your case, what would you like, what would be the most profitable thing that somebody could start doing for you? What would be the most profitable thing?
Well, Christmas sites, responding to emails, taking phone calls.
Okay, but that's not going to be for a while.
Yeah, for a little while. Responding to email, it gets tedious and I don't like it, right?
Responding to emails?
Yeah, exactly. For
personal
or customer support, yeah.
How many customers are you talking about a day for emails?
It varies. It can be anywhere from, it's not hundreds, it's in the teens, but it's just on the daily. I don't know, is there some...
Okay, you know what? What's your name?
Jonathan.
Okay, Jonathan. I don't want to hear about like answering 16 emails. I don't, what I want to answer to is what's the most profitable thing someone could do for you?
I guess I don't even know. Right. Marketing. I guess I just don't know exactly in my business.
Okay.
The best way to start, I guess.
Okay. So let's go first. We'll go back to your email thing. But that's obviously, so I would write up the canned responses, and then I'd just have them. I would set up an email. I would set up a Gmail account with them for them. I'd say log in here, or maybe perhaps it forwards to their own private one. And then I would just say email from this place, and here are these, there's only about 6 things or so, but maybe after you've done that for a couple weeks, you've got 16, and so they'll just automatically cut and paste and send it off. And that way you could use somebody from anywhere around the planet, even if their English was a little shaky, and they would only send you something that wouldn't fit that criteria. But the real thing you should be thinking about is what could I hire someone for right now that would be profitable for me? So you were talking about getting into like local SEO or something?
Oh, well, no, local SEO is what I've done for my businesses, but plus like affiliate marketing.
Okay.
I've done personally like the videos.
Okay.
For like a review videos for, like you have a draw video sales letter for Sparkle, right? And so it's like that, but for like on a share a sale or Never Blue or whatever the other. I've done that for videos, so I guess outsourcing videos would be profitable.
Outsourcing videos would be great. One of the best ways I think to do it is to, even if those people don't have like the high speed, if they don't have like the high level software, they can literally just like, connect into your computer, and then they can use your computer when you're not using it and use your software, and you can set that up so they're like a little user in there, so they don't have access to anything else. And by the way, speaking about access to anything else, a lot of times people worry, I don't want to give somebody from India or Russia or wherever it might be access to all my stuff. if they make it through the poppies, just give it to them. They're not going to steal from you if they make it through the poppies. I've yet to have anybody steal from me that made it through the poppies. The people that I knew were going to steal from me, like that guy I told you about, now I obviously didn't give him access to because I had trouble right away. But I don't have any trouble, you know, even on our CRMs, all you got to do is just set up another seat for them. If you're using one shopping cart, set up another seat for them, you know, because you might not want them to have all the sales data. But if you set up a seat for them, they can log into those accounts, they can do all the work themselves. Do you have a question?
So what do you use them?
What do I use them for?
Yeah, what's the most?
Pretty much everything, other than like I don't use them for product development, but everything else. So
Cold calling, so I mean.
I don't do any cold calling, but you know, developing products, support, promotion, WordPress stuff, HTML stuff.
Design, programming.
Yeah, yeah. Did you guys have a question?
Outsourcing social media, like Facebook or Twitter?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would work out real well.
Yeah, one of the people I work with has very successfully outsourced social media through Elance.
Yeah.
It's just worked out beautifully.
Good. And did you have a question?
Have you got to the point where you have enough outsourcers that you need to outsource your outsourcing, so you have somebody to manage all that?
I've done that in the past, but it turned out to be a mistake. Because the person, you know, I've got, a great question. So it almost got to be a point where it was like then an agency relationship. And so this this person who was an attorney in this other country, and it was a big mistake. So now what I do is I have people that work for me that want to go up, they become the managers. No one from outside.
So people from, like, in your organization in North America here? and
Not North America, but...
You promote them.
Yeah, so we promote. Did you have a question?
So you're putting money into an account like on bonus, and then they're getting paid?
Yeah, so how do you pay these people? What you do is when you sign up for your account in Odesk, Elance, Freelancer, you enter in payment details, like a credit card. And then they'll submit like the worksheets. So maybe at the end of the week, it'll say, okay, this person worked 40 hours, and your agreement is to pay them $6 an hour, or $3 an hour, or whatever it is. So you've got like a period of time, say it's like a week or 3 days, I don't even remember, where you can dispute that. And if you don't dispute it, then it just automatically charges your credit card and pays them.
So is it like a contract or something that once you hire them,
No contract.
there's not an agreement or anything, they're just hiring them as an employee?
And not as an employee, just as an independent contractor. Yeah.
I guess that brings up another, maybe that's not a question, but as far as my taxes go, I'm not 1099 this person.
I don't think that you would ever 1099 anybody unless they were like in, say, like the United States, and unless they fit into the employee criteria by the IRS. So if they did, then of course, and then a lot of these systems like Elance will provide you with the 1099.
Okay. Oh, they will?
Yeah.
I've got them now, they just got.
Yeah. Yes.
I guess what permissions do you absolutely not give outsources? So for example, like into your WordPress site, or do you never have them go into your FTP on your site? Like, I guess...
I give them all that. Oh yeah, I give them...
Have you ever had any...
No. No. But if they were to quit, or if I were to fire them, then I would change every single one. So what I do at the beginning, what I do is, let's say I hire Ted. And so he'll start, and during the trial period, I'm going to give him a password, I'll give him another password. And so I just keep track of the passwords I'm giving him. And then the longer he works, the more passwords he gets.
Which countries have you had the best experience?
What countries have I had the best experience with? That's a really great question. The country that I've had the absolute best experience with, let's say you've got 3 people and they all made it through the Poppies. One's from the U.S., one's from the Philippines, and one's from Bangladesh. I will always go for the person from Bangladesh. Yeah, it's just, it's strange how culturally I do think that, you know, there's a different work ethic, different. I don't know. So my experience is unique in that way, because usually you always hear it's Philippines. For me, it's like that stinks. Like I've had, like, you know. So yes.
So being sort of old-fashioned in, you know, usually thinking of sitting face-to-face with somebody regarding website design, do you outsource that through these websites to somebody to say, hey, here's the project, design a website for me?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm having a website design right now, and the variety of quotes was so hot wide that I ended up going with no one from Elance and somebody I could meet face to face with here in town that I had gotten through a recommendation from a friend.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like you, that was my first question. I mean, I can't fly to India.
Well, you know, I mean, there's always going to be exceptions, right? So if you're more comfortable hiring somebody that you can meet face to face, then you should do that. And it sounds like what you're talking about is kind of a fixed project where someone's going to create this website, and then you know, you're all going to go your separate ways. You know, I'm very comfortable outsourcing all that. I'm very comfortable outsourcing all that stuff. I've never had any problem, and in fact, it's always been, you know, a much better experience than I could if I did it another way. But it could also be, you know, I'm not sure what you're paying. Maybe you're paying 60 grand to design your website, you know, whereas if you're going to design like a really classy killer website via outsourcing, then you're probably looking at, like, you know, maybe $1,200-1,500. So, yes, sir.
So for outsourcing for social media, I saw that, you know, cost of analysis and all that. What do you think is a fair wage for that starting, and where, you know, starting point, and where do you think
it would all depend on where the people are from. It would all depend, because they got such a different cost of living. So, you know, it would. So I'd look at that, and then I'd go above the average income. With the goal in my head is that I always want them to be like the highest paid guy in the country, not literally but figuratively, like in 6 months or a year. I want them to be like Warren Buffett of the country, you know.
Have you ever used Hire My Mom?
Hire My Mom?
Someone told me about that. It's not just moms, but you're like the premises, women that have babies to go and work from home, but it's not just moms.
That was an evil laugh there. I haven't, no.
I know who's
No,
running that.
what do you think?
I know the person behind that. I'd rather resort comment.
Are there any web tools, for example, like you would drop a file in Dropbox, but would that help your productivity with your outsourcers?
Well, Dropbox is a great one.
I use Dropbox just to give them a folder.
MyProjectplans.com.
Right, like, are there any other, I guess, like web applications or tools that you use to help facilitate your portfolio?
You know, it's all going to depend on the person, and it's all going to depend on the job you do. So it would depend on that.
Question here, and I'm going to edit out the name of the website you mentioned, because I do know this person. What they are doing basically is they're outsourcing everything overseas to they have basically a project manager.
So it's an agency.
Well, it's somebody up in Utah, okay, and they have you put in your job request, and then they give it to a project manager who's overseas, and then they funnel it out to.
So it's an extra layer.
It's an extra layer.
Yes.
Sorry, one more.
Yeah.
Do you find it more, I guess, effective to just have written out instructions, or can you do like a screencast of what you would like, or both? Or
Okay, so I'll answer this, and I'll do 2 more questions, because I know Radar Roy wants to jump in here. Take the mic back. So do I find it better to have like a screencast video of instructions or written instructions? What I find best is when you hire that person. See, I've gone through all different phases, right? I still got all these websites where there's all this training content and all this other crap. What I find best is to take that person, this person, I'm hiring them to write content. Write the content. Looks good? Okay, cool. You already know how to load it in? Okay, I created a username, go do it. That's it. If they need instructions on how to do something, I may shoot a video, or I may not. I may just say, go look at the tutorial for WordPress and figure out how to upload. So I'll do that with everything. So if they were going into the CRM, I may shoot a video, or I may just say, no, go into the tutorial for the CRM system, learn how to do it. If I know it's going to be super hard for them, then I might be inclined. Then, you know, if I can teach them, if I can shoot a 3-minute video that's going to save them 2 hours, then I'll obviously do it. But it's not like I've got all those long processes, but I haven't used those for years. I find it much better just to work like that. Second to last question. Going once?
I got
Going.
a question for you.
Okay. Okay.
At what point do you make one of your outsourcers a project manager, or do you do that?
Well, as soon as there's a need, so the question is how quickly do you give them more responsibility, and as soon as there's a need, and if they want to, then so I mean it could be 6 months.
And then, my experience, one thing I've done, and I'll ask you to see if you've done this and see what your success has been. But one thing I've done with some of my outsourcers, if they're a really good outsourcer, I'll say, hey, look, if you can find somebody that makes it over that 6 months probation period to work for us, I'll give you a $50 bonus. It's worked good in some countries and it's worked terrible in other countries. I just want to see if you've done that, or if you have, what you're...
Yeah, I mean that's a great. I've had success with that, and then I decided to take it to the next level. So if you go to like Blue Flag support, you'll see the remnants of that. And so what I decided is, okay, well that's worked out pretty well for me. So maybe what I can do is just become like a real white glove sort of service on providing support, because we really do have excellent support. I mean, most people consider us the best in the internet. So when I say that, I mean like we always, like if you go to Stealth Seminar, our average ticket response time is less than 5 minutes, which is unheard of, 7 days a week. So I said, okay, so we'll just do this. We'll take it another step and we'll outsource, and we'll have this high end. So then when I did that, the idea being that these people would find enough people to work there, didn't work. So.
My experience is when I did that, it doesn't work in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid that if they bring somebody in, if they fail, that it's going to look bad on them.
Yeah.
But however, I see the opposite in India, that they're motivated more to bring in people of their high caliber to get the other extra reward. So that's just my experience. With the Philippines, they're scared of failure. India, they're going to go out and take that. I don't even think it's a risk, but they'll go out there and go out there and knock on doors and find some really good qualified people for it.
Yeah. So it's cool.
Last one, I promise.
No problem. I just want you to figure out what's the most profitable thing that someone can do for you, because that's a much better question than what do you use for technology and what do you much better.
I definitely have that written down.
Yeah.
Have you ever used Fiverr?
Use it for a few things.
Is there
Fiverr.
Is there a specific use that you would have for?
Making like crazy videos. Like I used it once and some dude screamed something and jumped off the roof and into a swimming pool. Used it once where some chick was dancing like a banana singing a song.
I use it for YouTube likes.
YouTube likes, okay, yeah, so like that stuff.
And press releases.
Yeah.
In your opinion, when did this outsourcing start, and how big of the industry is it right now, and where do you expect it to go?
I'd say outsourcing. It's funny because I remember when I first got on I first got on Elance, and I was not comfortable with the way it was. And it reminded me of, I was thinking back on that. It reminded me of when I first got on eBay, you had to send a check down to them. You know, they didn't have credit card processing. So I'm guessing for that Elance was probably 2001, 2002, 2003. And I think it's grown tremendously. And I think it's going to continue to grow tremendously. And I think that it's, you know, some people complain about it, particularly if you're in a really, let's say that you're in a country where the standard of living is higher, like in the US. You know, you get people like, well, you know, they shouldn't outsource those jobs. And, you know, really, you could stop all the outsourcing you ever wanted to. All you'd have to do is just commit to only buying products that are made in the US. Right? People won't do it. And they won't do it for a good reason. It's because it's a lot cheaper to go to other countries and hire people because they don't have the regulations, they don't have the taxes, they don't have all that stuff. So I think it's only going to get better, and I think it's only going to get bigger, and I think that it's not a bad thing. Do I ultimately think it brings down the dollar income of like people in the US? Potentially, but that's why you have to be responsible enough for yourself to go, you know what, if I'm in a commodity business where they can replace me by somebody else halfway around the world for a third of my fee, then I better get some education and learn some stuff from Radar Roy and get the hell out of this business, you know, start my own thing. So I think that answers your question.
Stuff is a commodity nowadays.
No. Like what? What's a commodity?
Websites?
What? No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't think so, because you're always going to have people that can do, I mean, well, put it this way. You know, we could all go out and buy like WordPress theme. We could get them free. We wouldn't even need to invest money, right? But if you're going to go get someone good, then, you know, I think, like you look at like, you know, if you're selling something like books or things like that, then yeah, it's commodity. But if you're doing other things where you're providing extra value and making other people successful and making other people feel good and making other people, you know, gain some benefit, then, you know, that's the key. The key is not to be the commodity, I think, in order to be a success. So,
Geoff, you're coming out with a product for outsourcing. You want?
It's out.
Okay, so if they want, anybody that's watching this video, anybody in this class, can you tell them how to get that?
They go to this website, and then they just go to the product link, and you'll see it there. And it covers much of what we've covered tonight, but it also covers a lot more. So it gets into training people, it gets into keeping people, it gets into motivating people, all that stuff. So, yeah, and it's way too cheap. Okay.